Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
I received the Department of Labor's quarterly report on ACC last month. It is a quite critical report and notes that ACC is failing to meet 6 out of 7 of the key performance indicators as set down by the previous minister that cover financial management. KPIs in which ACC is failing are in rehabilitation, costs per treatment, costs per entitlement claim, return to work rate, the long-term claims pool and the solvency ratio. By anyone's measure, this is not good, and that is why the government is making changes.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. What reports has the Minister received on the long-term rehabilitation trends at ACC?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
ACC's 3-month rehabilitation rate consistently improved from 1995 until 2001, but has been declining since 2003. The latest rehabilitation data at December 2008 was the lowest since records became available. The 6-month and 12-month rate shows a similar trend. This trend of workers being out of work for longer is bad for the individuals as well as increased cost for the ACC scheme. It is one of the areas where the new government wants to see an improvement in ACC's performance.
Sue Bradford.
Minister, what does the government mean when, for example, John Key says that ACC will not be privatised, but that private companies may have the opportunity to get involved? What's the difference?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker.
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
I'm surprised by the fact that every time we raise issues about performance, there's this old, tired line, the sort of slogan of privatisation. Let me make plain to that member and members opposite that this government is totally committed to a 24/7 state insurance model for ACC.
Craig Foss.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Supplementary to the Minister. What reports has the Minister received on ACC's long-term weekly compensation pool?
Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
I have received reports that show a consistent decline in the number of people on weekly compensation from 1995 until 2005, and a consistent and significant increase since that time. Long-term weekly compensation is a major expense for ACC, and this upward trend in numbers is a factor in the latest reports that show a blowout in ACC's liabilities.
Sue Bradford.
Will the Minister ensure that there is genuine worker representation on the reconstituted ACC board at the end of the month?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, I'm working with the new chair, Mr John Judge, on ensuring that we have a very well-balanced and highly skilled board to ensure that ACC is able to deliver for all New Zealanders on a scheme that will ensure that where they have accidents they are properly covered, but also to ensure that ACC levies are affordable.
Craig Foss.
Thank you. Supplementary to the Minister. What has been the performance of ACC's investment portfolio, and how has this influenced the Minister's decisions on changes to ACC?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, ACC's investments have been adversely affected, like all investment funds, since 2006. I note in the Department's report that this is one area of ACC's performance that has been adequate and comparable to other fund managers, and I share that view. The only criticism I have of the board is that expensive extensions of the ACC scheme continued to be made in 2008, well after investment returns had plummeted, and the board should have bluntly warned the government of the risks of extending the scheme when income was going through the floor.
The Honourable David Parker.
Can the Minister confirm that at 1:49 p.m. this afternoon, 11 minutes before question time, he announced a $32 per year increase in the motor vehicle levy as from the 1st of July 2009? And how does he explain that $32 per year increase when last week he was scaring New Zealanders with threats of levy increases for motor vehicles of some $500 per annum within a year or two?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Mr Speaker, the member...
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith has the floor.
The member exaggerates. The figure that the member mentions in a year or two of anybody that would read my press release was the projected figure by ACC in 5 years' time. The amount that I am advised by the Department of Labour that the amount that I would require to increase the motor vehicle levy to fully fund the scheme under current policy and legislation would be $121 this year. The government said that was unacceptable. That is why we've gone for the smaller amount of $32, which is significantly less than the $50 increase that Labor imposed last year. The reason we need to make changes to ACC is I don't want to see these ongoing increases.
Craig Foss.
Supplementary to the Minister. Thank you, Mr Speaker. Is the Minister aware of any areas of ACC policy where the Board has accepted it made mistakes?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
Yes. The Board has advised me that its decision in 2004 with respect to physio funding was a mistake and has described the policy which has seen costs blow out from $58 million a year to an expected $225 million per year. The Board has described that as, quote, untenable. These policy changes were driven by the previous government, not the Board, but the Board must take some responsibility for the very poor projections of how much that policy change would cost.
The Honourable David Parker.
Can the Minister explain why he told Mr Ross Wilson and other Board members in December 2008 not to speak out about ACC's performance, and why did he not allow the Board to explain its understanding of ACC's performance?
The Honourable Dr Nick Smith.
It is the long-standing practice that boards do not speak publicly. It was the policy during the entire time of the 9 years of the previous government. It is my view that nothing is to be achieved for the public and for ACC to have contradictory statements or other controversy between the Chief Executive, the Minister and the Board. It is my view that strengthening of the Board, particularly with respect to financial management skills, is necessary. That is why I've appointed John Judge as the new chair.